Peter Lynch has said, quote, "So the stock market would definitely have a correction. Everybody will say that it's the end of the world. I predict it. They will say the big one's coming." And he goes on to say, "I have been fully invested at the start of all major declines, and I will be fully invested in the next one. I am not a market predictor, that's for darn sure." End quote. And lastly, one of the greatest, if not greatest, mutual fund managers of all time, who achieved over 29% annualized returns at Fidelity and made a name for that company back in his heyday, says the following quote, "At some point, we will have a major correction and everybody will get scared again, and we will have another buying opportunity." End quote. So we are where Peter Lynch said we would be. And we have been there before. We will be there again and again in the future. And everyone will tell you that it's coming. And they will tell you it 1,000 times every day for the entire year, for the entire decade. They will tell you, "I predict the next big one is coming." And most of the time, they will be wrong. But what is true, what is constant, is that there will always be a market correction. The markets, the economy, our whole system works in cycles. It has to. We have to have booms and we have to have busts. In the booms, people are bullish. People invest in the future and they leverage, they borrow money to invest and build wealth. Because our system, our entire monetary system, economic system, is built on largely credit. You have to borrow money to make money. If you want to make outsized wealth, you want to build outsized wealth, it requires that you borrow some money. It's hard to build outsized wealth on your own, with your own money. It's possible, but it's much harder. So investors borrow money. Entrepreneurs, small businesses, big businesses, we all borrow money to build wealth. And that's the leveraging stage. That's the boom stage. And there's, of course, at the end of that stage, towards the end, there's greed. People get greedy. And they continue to leverage up. And at some point, you have to deleverage. So when that deleveraging begins, there will be a correction because people have to sell off their assets to acquire the necessary funds, money, cash, to repay their debts so that they can deleverage and avoid going bankrupt if the markets crash. And that may not be exactly what's happening right now because there's other things happening with the virus and the pandemic and people worried about the inflation rates and the interest rates. And Peter Lynch also said, "I've never predicted interest rates. I've never wasted my time trying to predict how interest rates will move. I just invest and hold for the long term." That's what Warren Buffett says. That's what Mark Cuban says. Just buy and hold. But people like to trade. People like to do short-term investing. I don't fault them for that. That's part of building wealth. That's one way to do it. So in the short term, with the markets changing and the economy uncertain because no one knows when the pandemic is going to be over and when we're going to have enough vaccines distributed and deployed, some scientists say that, hey, we might be in this forever. We might have to just go about our lives, but we don't know what's going to happen. But some investors are seeing that there's lots of stimulus and they're afraid that the Fed is underappreciating just how much inflation we're going to experience this year and the years to come. The Fed has said they want more inflation because we haven't had enough. We want to get to at least 2% and exceed that before we increase interest rates from near zero. That's the Fed's mandate. That's their policy. And they've said over and over again, Jerome Powell has said over and over again, we're not changing this because we don't see inflation. But investors are starting to say, hey, we don't believe you. So they're saying, we're looking at the bond markets now. We're taking our money from the stock market, moving it over there because we believe you're lying. We have inflation coming earlier than you expect. And at some point, you're going to have to increase those interest rates. So I've covered what that means for our patrons at patron.bullacademy.org in a memo that I sent out maybe last week to explain what all of this means, why the markets are correcting. But basically, that's what's happening. The big institutional investors are afraid that there's going to be inflation, and the interest rates are going to have to be increased by the Fed sooner than the Fed says they will increase those interest rates. And so they're saying, hey, we're moving our money from the stock market to the bonds because we believe interest rates will be increased much earlier than the Fed says. And that's what's happening. And of course, there's other things happening out there. The markets, you never know exactly what's happening on the market. So that's one factor. And of course, people are afraid that the big one's coming. They keep hearing it. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say it enough times, if you keep telling people, hey, the sky is falling, and that's going to be a huge market correction, at some point, that's going to play out. It's going to become true. And I believe that's part of what's happening now. People have been saying, oh, the great correction, the great reset, it's going to happen. And they keep saying it. Say it enough, and people will start to believe it, start to get afraid, right? They get fearful, and the markets are irrational. So when the fear builds up enough, people start to sell. And when people see others selling, they get even more fearful and they sell. And that continues and continues. And that's what we've seen over the last 2 weeks now. And this week has been no different. My portfolio is down over $80,000 this month. Yeah, that's how the markets work. So I just wanted to come out here and let you all know that this is how it goes. You just got to get through it. There will be dark days, but you have to get through it to see the light, the green. And the best part about all of this is that if you have money, you get to pick up the falling chips. People are selling off great assets. I see IPOE, SoFi, dropping below $17 per share or below $18 per share, and I want to buy it. CCIV, same thing. SBE ChargePoint, it fell after its merger was completed last week. I would buy it. Same thing for Jumia. If I have assets that I love, that I believe are going to be instrumental to our futures and are undervalued today, and even more so because people are so fearful, like Warren Buffett says, when they're fearful, be greedy. When they're greedy, be fearful. So people were greedy with CCIV running it up to $60 per share, and you're not supposed to buy that. That's when you're supposed to be fearful. But when they start selling it all the way back down because they got burnt from the hype and the FOMO, you should reassess that opportunity and see if it makes sense for you to invest. For me, if I had the money, I'd buy more CCIV, Lucid Motors. For me, IPOE, if I had more money today, I would have bought 1,000 more shares. If I had more money, and I believe in Opendoor, and I believe in SoFi, IPOE, and CCIV, and Tattoo Chef, and Jumia, and Cloudflare Net, and so many others, I would be buying. The markets, my portfolio is down 29% in the last month. That means I have been given an opportunity to buy my positions at a 29% discount. That's what that means. If your portfolio is down 29%, that means that you have a discount of 29%. So it's not bad. It's not bad unless you did not follow your plan and you need the money right now and it's gone because the market corrected and you couldn't time the market because you can't time the market because the market's not timeable. You cannot, it's not worth trying to time the market. Time in the market beats time in the market, right? That's what all the greatest investors say in one way or another. So if you were to follow your plan, invest for the long term, don't try to time the market, have an emergency fund, and just buy and hold, have that in your head the whole time. Know that if you put money into the market, you're going to leave it there for the next year, 5 years, 20 years, and so on. then you won't be so affected by the short-term volatility, the downturns. You won't care that your portfolio is down 29% in a month because you will think, hey, that sign says sell, sell, sell. Why is everyone running away from that? I'm going to run to that. I'm going to buy more of my Nikes, of my Express Slim Fit blazers. I still love those things. They still make sense. They still fit me well. They're still going to be great for me in the future. Right? I still love Tesla. I still love plant-based foods, and so do so many other people. And that trend continues to grow. Nothing has changed for the worse in the underlying company. All that has changed is people's perceptions of the markets, of the short-term prospects of the market, because they've been telling themselves, been being told by people on CNBC and on ABC and on wherever else that the people talk about the market's next big correction. And on YouTube, of course, with everyone trying to get their views up and their subscribers up, they're telling people, hey, the next great reset is coming. So people start to build up fear. And they stop thinking rationally. They stop assessing the fundamentals of their companies. SoFi is still a fintech infrastructure company and one of the leading online banks out there. Tattoo Chef Inc., still the leading frozen plant-based foods company. Jumia is still doing very well as the Amazon of Africa. They have their logistics play. Why would I sell those things? Nothing has changed, right? I have an underlying business that I'm investing in. I want that business to succeed. And the best part about that, knowing that I'm not buying a lottery ticket, that I'm actually buying a company, a share of a company, is that if I believe in the company, I understand what it is, and everyone else does not, and they sell the stock, then I have a chance to buy at a discount. Warren Buffett says, if you believe in the company, you want the company's stock to be cheap in the short term because you get to scoop up more of it. You get to buy what everyone else is selling because they don't get it. They don't get that IPOE might become a bank, SoFi might become a bank within the next year or two. And that is the Amazon of fintech. They don't get it. They don't get that Jumia is building a logistics company and a PayPal of Africa company within Jumia in Africa. So they sell off in the short term because I have an emergency fund and I can weather any storms that come into the market in the short term, the volatility. I planned for that. I can scoop up all those tears. Remember, the market's not your friend. If I see you crying, I'll catch your tears. I'll catch it. And I'll buy your shares, some of your shares. I'll take it, right? That's how it goes. You have to think the same. The people out there who are crying about the market and they're selling off their shares and all of that just because they're fearful, not for any other rational reason, they're doing you a big favor if you have the money to take advantage of this opportunity. People say we're lucky because we got into the markets in a great pandemic and recession in March of 2020, April of 2020. They call us lucky because we've been killing it. We're up 10x, 20x in a year and so forth. But luck, the definition of luck by those who don't make excuses is when preparation meets opportunity. That's luck. So if you prepared, you had your emergency fund, you had your money invested with the mindset, the bull mentality. Remember, the bull mentality is that we know what we invest in. We understand what we invest in. We believe in what we invest in, and we hold for the long term. If you practice the bull mentality, because that's how we build wealth in this country, that's how we give ourselves the best chance of success on the stock market, then you would have been prepared for this great opportunity when your portfolio is down 29%. And you could buy up more shares and get more control of assets. And if you do that for a long time, maybe one day you can have outsized power and voting rights in a company. In the interim, you have more shares, which means that when the stock goes back up eventually, and over time, if you believe it's going to continue to go up net positively, then you get to have more shares, which means that each time it goes up $1, you have greater returns. That's why I invest in a concentrated manner. I want all of my positions, when they move $1, I want to see $1,000. I want to see $3,000 move. That's why I load up heavy on a few positions that I'm heavily convicted in. So when I'm convicted in a company, I buy it up and I know what I'm buying and I plan to hold it for long term. So when people sell off, I buy more. And I laugh at when I open my Robinhood app and I see my portfolio down 29%, $100,000 in a single day. That happened last week. I was down over $100,000 in 19 hours. I was down. I laughed because that's funny to me. I know I'll be back. Short term. Yeah, I could have sold and bought back in and try to time the market, but that doesn't work. Sure, you might get lucky once in a while, once in a lifetime and time it correctly and make out big. But most people who try to time the market, most day traders, they barely make minimum wage. They barely make $7.25 per hour in a whole year of investing by trying to time the market. So if someone who is spending their whole lifetime, 24 hours a day or whatever, however long the markets are open, doing all that work, trying to time the market and pay all those taxes, is only making $7.25 an hour for that work, and they're professionals at it. $7.25, the great majority. Of course, there's outliers in everything. There are people who made billions of dollars on Bitcoin and on day trading and on swing trading, but most people lose. You can't time the market. You're going to lose. So yeah, I didn't sell, and I watched my portfolio drop by $100,000 in less than 24 hours, less than 20 hours actually, and I laughed because that meant I could buy more if I had the money that I'm willing to invest for the long term. So I want you to know that you're not alone. I know that many of you started investing just recently, and some of you might have watched my videos from the start last July when I first started making YouTube videos, and you've been watching for this whole time. I appreciate you doing that. So I didn't want to leave you hanging. I want you to know that I'm right in there with you. I'm just burning money every day, watch my portfolio drop. And we talk about it in our Discord channel at patreon.bullacademy.org, and with my patrons, where we discuss the stock market every day in real time and what's going on, and share news and rumors and new investment ideas so that we can get in early on investments and encourage one another to continue to hold and continue to make the right choices, or maybe to discuss why we might want to sell and bounce ideas off of each other and let everyone know that, hey, my portfolio was down $1,000 in the last second, $100,000 in the last 19 hours, so that they know that, hey, we're all in this together, and I would love to have you over in our Patreon community. It'd be great to have you there, but right now I want you to know that I'm still here with you. I'm here to let you know that the markets will go up and down, and if you sell, I'll buy your shares. So please don't sell, because I don't have enough money right now to buy your shares. But next week when payday comes, if you want to sell, I'll buy it. But like I said, if you believe in the companies that you're investing in and nothing has changed fundamentally, your company is still making lots of money, they still plan to grow as fast as they said before, or they might cut back a little bit because there's a pandemic and times are uncertain and they don't know what's going to happen. But they're going to cut back 20%, 10% for the next year or two. Unless you can find a better place to put your money and make better returns after the taxes, then there's usually no reason to sell unless you're trying to time the market. So Again, I will buy anyone who sells their IPOE shares. I will buy your CCIV shares. I'll buy your Tattoo Chef shares. I'll buy your Jumia shares. If I have the money, I'm going to buy it because I believe in those companies for the long term. And I want you to have the same mentality, the bull mentality. And if you need a reminder, you go to bullmentality.com or bullmindset.com. I promise you will have a little laugh and enjoy what you see. If you ever forget, just go there. You'll see get a good reminder. So I just wanted to share some quotes from Peter Lynch because I respect his words. And again, he says, if you're in the market, you have to know there's going to be declines. And he goes on to say, you can lose money very fast in 2 months, but very rarely do you make money very fast in the stock market. When I look back, my great stocks took a very long time to work out. That's why we invest for the long term. If we try to get in and out every day, we're going to miss out. We're going to pay more taxes. We're going to fail to time the market, and our stocks are going to run away from us. We're going to have FOMO and regret that we didn't stay in. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not telling you to buy, sell, hold, or do anything with your investments because I cannot advise you on that. All I can do is share with you my thoughts on the markets. Who's that? Me, Carol. So Peter says, market timing is speculating, and it rarely, if ever, pays off. Be patient, know your plan, don't be over leveraged, and let the fearful be fearful and be greedy in the wake of their fear. Catch their tears. So that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, like the video below, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment below how you're doing. Let me know if you need a shoulder to cry on. Let's talk about it. And feel free to share how much you're down. I'm down over 29% for the last month, but I'm still up 54% for the last 3 months. It helps to check your green graphs. Zoom out a little further, past this last month, past the last week, and see how well you've been doing for the last 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, and over time. All you can do is invest fundamentally with principles. So I would love to see what's going on with you. It helps to share, and just know that you're not alone. The market's down. Everyone's looking at red, and that's fine. It's been down before. Last April, I was in the negative. That's fine. Now I'm in the positive. I'll be back in the negative at some point in my life, and I'll have to find my way out. Maybe, if I screw up somewhere along the way. But over the long term, I'm pretty certain I'll do just alright, or better than that. And I believe that most people who just invest for the long term, buy and hold, will do the same. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to help the channel grow and reach more investors and get more access to me and get direct answers to your investing questions, then join us over at patreon.bullacademy.org. That's where we share knowledge in our Discord channel, discuss the stock market and the stocks and specs we're all invested in real time, so that we can help one another find great investments and build wealth together. And that's where I share my early research and my thoughts on the markets and new stocks that we're all getting bullish on, especially myself, because I want to share my thoughts on things that I believe in. It doesn't help if I share thoughts on whatever that pops up like most people do, because I don't know everything. So everyone else who knows about certain stocks in the Discord channel shares their thoughts too. So it's not just me, it's over 100 of us now sharing our knowledge and thoughts on the market. So we all have a chance to find new deals and great investments and get it early before everyone else, and that's helped us find the CCIV, SPE, IPOE, and so many others before everyone else has. So I would love to have you over in our Discord channel and our Patreon community at patreon.bullacademy.org. I'm Lincoln with bullacademy.org. Thank you again, and have a great day.